because if you think about it from a teacher point of view, whether it's AI, all these new technologies, and if I'm a 15 or an 18-year teacher, how the heck do I stay on top of all this information and be able to deploy it into a classroom and be able to inspire?
Welcome to another episode of the Unmanned Podcast powered by USI. Today we sit down with Lisa Swartzwelder and Nikki Stancampiano of the Partnering Anthropology with Science and Technology, or PAST Foundation. In this episode, we get to literally look into some of the great work and peek into the lab space as these educators prepare the youth for their future in STEM. I cannot believe the awesome things going on in that lab. Keep an eye out. You might see a future drone engineer, pilot, or even an astronaut. Who knows? Let's go. Hello, Lisa. Hey, Nikki. How are you guys doing today?
Great, Matt. Thank you.
How are you doing, Matt? Good.
I'm doing good. I'm super excited to talk to you guys, hear about what's going on at PAST and specifically in your kind of program. And for those watching, Nikki and Lisa are members of the Partnering Anthropology with Science and Technology. So putting anthropology and science technology together, that fits well because when you think about it, anthropology, the study of people and where they're coming from and what they're doing, and then science and technology building on what we are doing as a civilization and education and preparing. And then specifically, these two ladies work with a group or a program called Powering Up Your Potential. And it's an initiative that ignites students' passions and things of this nature into that STEM realm. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. And I, for one, am super excited about that. So let's start with, I think, Lisa, if you or Nikki, talk about PAST and where it began, how did it start, and its unique bring up.
As you said, Matt, Partnering Anthropology with Science and Technology, the PAST Foundation, which is headquartered here in Columbus, Ohio, and we really are a very unique education R&D prototype laboratory. So we do not do anything on our own. We partner with everyone and we kind of bring together, we're the conduit between industry, school districts, the kiddos directly, right? And teachers. And we are a group of anthropologists and started by visionary 25 years ago, Dr. Annalise Corbin. And she leads our tribe still today. And
oh, really? Wow.
Really amazing, individual and team behind us that got us to where we are today.
No, that's super cool. I wasn't aware that she's still there. I knew that she had founded the organization, and it's nice to see that she's still there driving it and building it to what it is now. For those of you visiting in the Columbus, Ohio area, I wasn't able to see it, but from the pictures and the media that's available, and we'll share hopefully throughout this podcast some visions into the building and into the lab because it's a really neat space. Nikki, you have anything to add with that?
I'll just add that our mission is linking learning to life. And, Lisa spoke very well about how it came to be. And, anthropologists saw this need for, developing young people that can solve problems and have human impact at the center of it. But beyond that, we believe that every student should see a place for themselves in STEM industries, in STEM careers, and that includes technology and drone aviation.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted to start off. Like, what inspired you to reach out to or partner with the drone industry as a workforce development program? What was kind of the nexus of like, hey, let's go look at drones and what that industry is doing?
Take it away, Nikki.
For the longest time, we've been saying that the drone industry, it's emerging, this technology is emerging, but it's no longer emerging. It is essential, right? It's now at a place where the need for drone pilots and everything from maintenance and data analytics, it's not just flying the drone, it's so much more, but it's needed everywhere. We're seeing hundreds of positions open in Ohio, but nationally, and we need to, help train the next generation of the workforce to be able to fulfill those those positions.
It really infiltrates every industry that we have or are looking to partner with, right? As far as career opportunities. And we have a transdisciplinary approach, right? So you may have a kiddo that's interested in XYZ industry. Well, there's a component of drones that now plays into that. It's just really a fascinating kind of evolution where we are now at USI is just an amazing partner, because what we appreciate most about USI is you think about our fundamentals in transdisciplinary learning. Well, that's, I think, USI's approach as well, because what it does do, right? It's more than minimums, it's human factors, right? Safety management systems. That's who we're about as well. So it's a great partnership.
You partner with a lot of great folks in a lot of great industries, and I think it's going to be interesting to unpack that a little bit more. And for those of us watching, Lisa's got her chops in crewed aviation, and so she is an industry expert, and it's super excited to hear her vision and her view of drones and how they're now integrating into the airspace, and that's exciting, and then being that catalyst for those younger folks as well. So what's the long-term vision for the program, and not just drones, but just like what's that long-term vision for those students and the program in general?
Yeah, really continuing to connect students and teachers to industry and more intimately, right? I mean, so we really are that conduit and connection piece. And we're working with the circuitry industry, right? And advanced manufacturing. Because if you think about it from a teacher point of view, whether it's AI, all these new technologies, and if I'm a 15 or an 18-year teacher, how the heck do I stay on top of all this information and be able to deploy it into a classroom and be able to inspire? So that's what PAST really does well, and what we'll continue to do.
Yeah, I'll add that, that's really where our industry recognized credential fellowships, that's where it was born out of, is educators, it's hard for them to be everything to everyone, and we can't expect them to be experts in all of these different industries, but we can help them upskill. We can help them earn credentials that build the capacity to train people locally, and also lean into industry experts where possible to fill those voids. But really trying to help our educators not only gain some of that experience, but at least just gain exposure to the opportunities that exist in these industries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so along those lines, how do you guys implement or integrate that drone technology into your curriculum? What's the experience like for students?
It happens in a variety of different ways. From in one perspective, we're helping train the teachers so that the teachers can bring that content into their classrooms. The PAST Foundation has portable innovation labs, which are STEM resource kits that teachers, librarians, community members can borrow. And if they don't have the means or the resources to have a set of drones at their school, they can pick up a box that has everything they need and get their kids flying and get them engaged.
Wow.
Lisa's holding up one of the drones that we supply to people that want to get students involved. And then in our Power Up Your Potential program, we have internships and workforce development boot camps where students are getting to work and network with industry mentors and professionals and drone pilots in this case, so that they can actually engage in authentic work challenges. So they're actually going on job sites, and they're capturing aerial footage at construction sites, and they're monitoring crop health on local farms and helping solve real problems in the community.
That's super neat. Looking at that little kit, I'm like, I'm in. Like, when can I join?
Yeah. And what we serve too is also within that kit is expert support, right? So that teacher can not only has the activities, but the curriculum or content, if you will, and a support team back here at PAST to say, hey, how do I go about maybe implementing XYZ? And we're there for those teachers or student organizations. So it really, if you think about it from an economic impact, these school districts do not have to invest in all these drones or digital microscopes, right?
Yeah.
Those are expensive endeavors. So what we do is through a lending library, move those things around, leverage the resources, have some economies of scale, and save school districts a lot of money.
No, that's great, because that's one of the things that constrains having these innovative, outreaches and teaching kids on the innovation that's happening around the world. Is it's kind of expensive and hard to get into that quickly enough, and by the time you're gone through all of the budgeting and all this stuff, you're 4 or 5 years behind what's been out there in the field. And I think it's engaging too. I just recently saw some video of a physics teacher doing some new and exciting things that even I'm thinking about when I went through physics, and I'm like, man, I would have learned so much more if my teacher blew stuff up in the classroom.
Exactly, right? Or just get your hands on things, right? And not,
Yep.
have minimal guidance, a foundational knowledge, and then just go at it. Get your
No,
hands
that's
on
great.
it, play with it.
The interest is there. Young people, they're interested in this technology, but it's the access that we need to be able
Yeah.
to provide.
What are you seeing is most in demand with regard to drone related skills? I know you are familiar with the 108 and talking about, Lisa, you just kind of talked about autonomy and AI and things of that nature. So, what are you seeing? I know we might be moving away from those psychomotor hands on the control sticks, maybe into some other skills that are related to drones. What are you seeing there?
I think it's, again, as we're pre-K through 20, who we serve, you're looking at the fundamentals of flight, right? Bernoulli's principles, those fundamentals that are difficult for students at that age to grasp. So I think that that's where we're really looking at different techniques of creating those visuals or applications. So it really connects to the student to understand the basic principles.
That's super cool. I heard of there's another school that we interviewed early on in the podcast series, and they did something where they taught the drones and the technology, but then they went into a business kind of direction, and they said, okay, now make a business using this drone that you just built, and that added a little bit of those core competencies around business and math, and it was exciting to see how they integrated some of those other basic fundamental learnings with drones. So
and similarly, we've done, in looking at how to do a presentation to a board, right? To invest in this next technology for your corporation. So it's really cool stuff.
So Nikki, do you have any, can you share with us a success story of maybe a student or a group and kind of, they started the program and they ended, and what did you see as a result of that?
It's hard to just pick one, but we'll talk about Suhaima and Matthew for instance. So the two of them went through our Power Up Your Potential program, earned their Part 107 license. A huge asset that we just can't understate are the mentors that they're exposed to. So we've partnered up with local industry drone pilots, and they're able to come in and really connect the students to the possibilities that exist in the industry, and just sort of be that guide beyond the videos that you watch for the training, right? To really bring it home and make it real. But those students earn their credential, and then, they go on and actually are getting paid to do this work one summer later. And, they're 16, 17 years old, and Matthew's already been hired through some of his neighborhood connections to do different work in the community. And Suhaima actually carried on to have an internship in aviation. Lisa was her mentor. If you want to speak about that, Lisa.
Yeah, great opportunity for us as industry and Suhaima. So we brought her into a Part 91 flight operation and gave her a 360-degree view and experience of all the career opportunities there are, who does what, how this all comes together to, support a corporation, right?
Yeah.
And the value of business aviation and how to quantify that. And she and then on the flip side of that, the questions that she asked, right, were amazing and helped us think differently, shifted our paradigm in a lot of ways on how we reach our customer, articulate our value to various components within our own corporation. So, and from a regional group, an aviation regional group standpoint, it's also builds a model of how industry can connect with K through 12, right?
Yeah.
There's like, oh, we can't work with elementary school or middle school or high school students, right?
Yeah.
That's not it is, and this is how you can do that. So it was a really enriching experience from both sides.
That's so cool to hear that. I get really excited, and I think maybe as a follow-up, we will be able to share the big screen with one of these success stories in the future and speak to them and just see what their experience was going through the program and what the results were. I mean, these are the future leaders in aviation. It's amazing to think about that, because we kind of sometimes forget that they're right behind us. They're coming up, and just to see and hear about the success of just two of probably many is super neat.
And at the core of Past Foundation also is research, right? So we are measuring everything and quantifying and qualifying things. So we bundle that all up with the industries or the school districts that we serve, right? To say, this is how you're moving the needle.
There's different perspectives on how to work into the underrepresented folks, and in aviation, it's male heavy and things of this nature. I've always been a staunch advocate for the way you change that isn't by mandates, but by teaching and educating and getting people energized and excited when they're young. And you guys are doing it, so it's so nice to see that, and just to hear about these future aviators coming through there. What other programs do you offer? I know we're focusing on drones because USI is a happy partner with the program, but what other kind of programs and offerings are there?
Oh, well, we have the early IT program. We have micro schools. We do summer camp to include some aviation camps as well. We do teacher programming. Yeah, do you want to talk about the early IT micro school?
So our micro school model is the idea that we can partner with a university and with industry partners, and students can simultaneously earn high school credits, college credits, industry recognized credentials, and have this kind of conglomeration of experiences to build off of and launch them into their future careers.
That's so exciting. I mean, think credentialing and recognizing that there is opportunity beyond just the four-year college. I think for too long we focused on get your bachelor's degree and you'll be successful, but there's evidence of trade schools and people who, there's people who are engineering smarts, but they just like touching things and having their hands on it. So they end up being something out of a trade school, which is awesome and fine. And I think it's just like the same thing where you're talking about these credentials and these, industry recognized certifications, and then getting into the workforce. And maybe later on you get a bachelor's degree or maybe you don't. But I think it's cool to see that.
And I think such a huge part of that is in letting students explore different careers while they're still in high school or even younger. We ask kids what they want to be when they grow up when they're like 5, and it's always one of 3 things, but there's so much more, and they don't know until they get the chance to experience that and hear from people that look and sound like them, that this is possible for me and I can contribute.
We believe in access for all, right? So we're going into the underrepresented communities and we're exploring, we're trying to give access. Transportation in our space is very challenging, right? So we're breaking down those barriers and getting out into the urban and rural areas and connecting kids to that local industry, because a lot of state initiatives, they want to reach these kiddos just like we do, give them those same opportunities, but then have them be able to stay where they're at, right? With connected now to their local industries.
That's awesome. So you kind of touched on it just a little bit, but if you can unpack it some more, how do you collaborate with the school systems and kind of the districts? What's that look like?
Yeah, so we have an amazing chief strategy officer, Marcy Raymond, and really through a team.
Shout out to Marcy.
Yeah, big time.
So she puts together the school programs or the connections with the districts?
Yeah, exactly. So it's outreach, right? Some districts come to us. She will also go to them, right? And figure out what type of things are they experiencing? How can we help build out a model? Because every program is different, suited to that community and that community's needs. It's not one size fits all, right?
That's totally true. And when you have that capability to look at what that district's needs are, and you can kind of tailor fit, how do you approach them? How do you engage, and what those students are looking for too. I think that's super nice that you have that flexibility.
And flying back into our drone space, especially right in the rural areas in agriculture. I mean,
Yeah.
look what, not just applications, but now just read the article about the fruit tree and how the drones are picking fruit and
Oh my goodness.
assisting in those areas. So it's
Yeah.
just inspiring kids, and then inspiring these kids to solve these local problems as far as job creations and things like that,
Yeah.
and using local resources.
It can't all be rosy. I love what you guys are doing, and I think there's some impactful stuff happening. But what are some of the challenges you face in this industry?
One of the big things is again, is access. The interest is there, but just how do we make sure that every young person has access to the people and the places and the opportunities to open doors? We try to address that through an ecosystem approach. So it's really not just the school's responsibility to prepare our young people, but we need to engage industry, we need to engage community, and bring all of these assets together to really move the needle. So that can be challenging, just to get all of those people to the same table. And behind this, we all know that education needs to change. We're invested in wanting to reimagine it, but the process of actually doing it is challenging because of funding and all kinds of.
I have a friend who, is a teacher and goes above and beyond, and it literally drives his car during the summer to go pick up the kids that have at least I think you spoke about this, transportation, but they lack transportation to get to these after school functions. And so he will drive. He's off. This is his summer. This is supposed to be vacation time, but he drives and picks up 2 or 3 of these kids and brings them to these, functions, because they're not in harm's way, but you know what I mean. They need to be in school to grow and be taken care of, and so I think that's cool, and I'm sure that's a challenge for you guys as well.
And it's also reaching our amazing young people and just making them feel like they belong, right?
Yeah,
because
for sure.
there are systematic things going on that they feel like they still can't do something, right? Especially our little girls. They're still being told they can't do that. So that's where we're trying to, break those barriers and fill those right seats, or fill those, technician areas. And it's just, being there and engaging with students and helping them along, giving a hand up.
For our listeners, is there any way that they can engage or support the program? What can they do to encourage their, local municipality or whatnot to start something else or partner with the PASS program?
Love that. passfoundation.org. There are, whether you're an educator, a student, a community member, there are so many different ways, whether it's volunteerism or just connecting as an industry partner, right? We also go into some of the industries that we work with and engage with their associates and employees as a level, increasing that level of engagement. So company X isn't just writing a check to a community partner. They're actually engaging in the work of the work, right?
I just want to share, there's a flip side of the success stories too. We talked about some of the students, but we also have mentors like Adrian Odell's with ARO Ariel, and he's worked with us for several years mentoring our students, and now has gained access to the USI certification. So he's increasing his suite of certifications in the drone industry. And that has actually spiraled into a desire to pursue education and maybe teaching licensure. So really magnifying the impact, and it speaks to how this engagement with industry and with young people can really spiral and multiply.
That's awesome. That's great. So I also like to get the viewers sometimes to get a personal introspective look at our guests. So as we close, why don't we, share a book or a film or a resource you'd recommend some of our listeners maybe look at, watch, read? What do you have to recommend for our listeners?
All right, well, we're going to jump in here. Obviously, hacking school, these are the 5 strategies that really do link learning to life. This is how we're doing what we do, right? We're very passionate about this, and this was written by our founder and CEO, Dr. Annalise Corbin. We obviously recommend that. And the Learning Unboxed podcasts that are available on the PAST website.
I mean, I have to second those 2 resources, right? They're great from the PAST Foundation. They're incredible resources. We also do sort of customized training. So if there's specific aspects of the 5 hacking school strategies that you want to dive deeper into, or work-based learning, or, industry credentials for teachers and students, those are all things that we can support with.
Thank you, ladies, not just for joining us today, but for what you do with our youth and encouraging and educating them in STEM and other things, and just being good people, growing up to be good people. So that's very important, and I thank you for that. Any last comments before we say goodbye for today?
Oh, no, but thank you, Matt, and thank you, USI. You're doing amazing things.
I second that. We couldn't do it without partnerships like USI, and we're just really appreciative.
Well, we appreciate that too, and we'll have the program pamphlet. That there's a program pamphlet for those watching that was made and organized by one of their students. It's really engaging, has some photos and some information. We're going to go ahead and put that in our info section at the bottom of the YouTube box, so you guys can click there, and it'll give you a broader look into just different programs and offerings that is happening at PAST. And in it is the drone part as well, the drone education component, which we're obviously proud of. Thank you, ladies, again for joining us, and I've had a great chat, and we look forward to talking again soon, hopefully with that student that we talked about. It's absolutely incredible what they're doing at PAST, and specifically the Power Up Your Potential program. Thanks, Nikki and Lisa. I, for one, look forward to speaking to your graduates in an upcoming episode. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.